Hey, this is Thad Joyner, and you're listening to What Thad Thinks, the one and only podcast on the interweb focused solely on what I think. Proud that you're listening today. We are powered by Better Beans Branding, your one-stop shop for commercial and residential design, graphics, branding, construction, and remodel. Yes, capable of everything. Thank you for listening. Well, good afternoon and welcome to What Thad Thinks, the number one podcast recorded in Braselton, Georgia each week, 11:59 every Friday. This podcast is powered by Better Beans Branding, and I am Thad Joyner, CEO of Better Beans Branding, and serial entrepreneur across this great state of Georgia. We had a huge response that I wanted to thank everybody for last week. It was kind of a spirited podcast last week with some moments of high intensity for me. I was maybe a little concerned as we went through this week, but it was maybe one of our biggest downloads yet over the course of the week. So thank you for all of you that shared it and brought in. Please continue to subscribe to What Thad Thinks. Please rate us on What Thad Thinks, and please leave some comments on either YouTube or on your podcast review, and you will get some sort of amazing prize from Better Beans Branding. From what I understand, Neil is way behind. He is slacking on sending the gifts out. He has so little to do with this podcast, and such little responsibilities, yet he continues to drop the ball. We have a couple of people that have texted me this week wondering where their fabulous prize is. So I guess it's a good time to bring on my partner who is always behind and always slacking, but here he is. There he is, Nielsen Gupta, the man who has not sent out the fabulous prizes yet. What's going on with that? Why won't you send prizes?
Oh, gosh. They're in the mail. Bad delivery schedule.
Oh, you're like, okay, new background today. You're obviously not at home.
I'm not.
Your internet is terrible because you keep freezing. So I may just have to black you out later on. I mean, what's going on with you? I mean, this is
that'll be problematic since I have the responsibility of recording the podcast.
Well, last week you were behind. You did not get a guest, which it still ended up being great. It was amazing. Big time downloads, big time spirit, but no guest. This week you're going to go no internet. You also did not get the guest. I called a personal friend to get our guest this week, and you dropped the ball again. Then I found out that you had not prepared anything to discuss with me until right before time. So you thought you could just wing it. And you're not a wing it kind of guy.
I'm an extemporaneous speaker by trade.
Oh, man, I should make you spell that. I should make you spell that.
I said speaker, not speller.
No, but we've already had a spelling competition that you lost.
And no, you suckered me, and I won.
You lost. You spelled a word that's not a word. That's not spelling. That's not spelling correctly.
You spelled a word that you were being used at the wrong. Totally fading.
Well, who did push-ups? Who did push-ups, big boy?
I did them.
Okay. I mean,
I should not have done them. I should not have done those push-ups.
Who said?
The judges. And
Which
you
judges?
Claimed this, they, you went to the judges, and I should have not have bought the they judges. They don't exist. I was the judge. I gave it to you. I gave you that.
Hey, listen, one way people win in life is making other people lay down.
I'm not laying down.
You laid down and did your push-ups.
I should not have done it.
But you did.
And I'm not spelling extemporaneous.
Yeah, because you'll lose.
I will not lose.
Let's bet a mile jog, a mile run.
Oh, I can't run a mile. I can't. Much less drive a mile. I'm certainly not running a mile.
Oh, everybody knows you can't drive a mile. Worst driver ever. But yeah, man. So what else is going on your way though? How's family? Everybody good?
Yeah. Hey, busy. Trying to decide on virtual school or no virtual school. So a lot going on. You?
Well, I mean, maybe I'll I mean, people won't believe this is actually coming from me. Maybe I'll give you a rare compliment since Better Beans is getting fired up with lots of business. Whoa, what happened? Oh, you're falling down. Fired up with a lot of business all of a sudden. So that's encouraging for our economy. Encouraging now. I know you signed 2 big deals with Kids Are Kids Mableton, right? Who's investing in a school age program building and a remodel of their existing building. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Sandy, she rocks. She may not want me to call her out, but she's been, an amazing Georgia Child Care Association board member for us, and a good representation of our state. And now she's out there leading the way, investing in her business, and going to grow her school age business through this time. So, congrats to her. And then, what you got? Buttons and Bows. Going
to Indiana.
Going to Indiana.
Yeah.
Maybe you should take my wife.
That's her stomping ground, isn't it?
That's where she's from, yeah. Isn't that the old Johnny Carr or Rodney Dangerfield joke? Take my wife. Please.
No, please.
Please.
Take my wife.
Take my wife.
That's right. That's right.
I think nobody knows who Rodney Do you know Rodney? You remember Rodney Dangerfield?
No respect.
Yeah, he gets no respect.
Yeah.
These kids need to watch a Rodney Dangerfield movie. I thought I could let my kids watch Caddyshack, which I believe was PG.
Of course you can.
No.
No?
No.
It's not just about a gopher.
One more 1980s PG movie that is not PG today. I mean, that should be a topic of conversation. I was going to tease what we wanted to talk about next week. I've got a really cool topic for next week. But one week we need to do a whole segment on 1980s PG movies that are not PG. No way. Very bad parental. Howard the Duck. I mean, Howard the Duck must have had 50 F-bombs in it. I was trying to get the kids to watch Howard the Duck. I mean, there are some bad ones. Adventures in Babysitting, has a whole F and S-bomb tirade. I just wanted to watch Elizabeth Shue and some, good old-fashioned teenage,
Wow, 80s PG movies. I bet, oh my gosh, the list should be enormous.
It's enormous. It's awful. But anyways, big, huge shout out to Buttons and Bows and Sandy, and to you guys and the team at Better Beans that are all the hard work that y'all been putting in over the course of this COVID. Looks like it's going to pay off early fall, late summer. So congrats on that.
Yep, thank you. How are you? What's going on in your world?
Well, big monster, huge news. I don't know how much we want to discuss today, but I sold my restaurants today.
Oh, you just put it out there.
Yeah, I just put it out there.
I didn't know we were doing that.
I didn't know we were doing that either. But yeah, restaurants sold today. So yeah. I just flew back in town and from the closing and got right. The first thing I did when I walked in the door, I hugged my daughter for 2 seconds and walked in here and plugged my stuff up to get ready for the podcast. But yeah, 2 awesome years. We built a great store, #1 Bojangles in the state of Florida. We got it open back up. It's setting profitability records right now. It was a great time to hand it to a new operator. And so next adventure coming for my brother Sage. Big shout out to him for the great job he's done down there. But he's going to stay on, get their new location open and see what he can do there. But big shout out to him and big shout out to their team. And yeah. So,
kind of funny. We Better Beans just got a big Bojangles order this week.
Yeah, that's what we do.
On the heels of that. So that's great.
So yeah, so excited about that. Excited about baseball.
Yeah, they're playing again.
Real quick, look, opening nights this weekend. So I will tell you what I got suckered into yesterday. So the Braves are allowing you to buy cardboard cutouts of your photo. Like you can have photo of your picture, and it goes in one of the seats behind home plate. So our family has a photo, and we paid actual money for us to be in the stands. And at the end of the season, we can go get our cardboard cutout. They won't promise you what kind of shape it'll be in, but it's there. So never underestimate the American small business owner. I know that's maybe not a small business, but how about the American business owner and capitalism? No fans in the stands, fine. There's some idiots out there that will pay to have a cardboard cutout of themselves in a seat. And color me the idiot.
There you go.
but we are in a seat there. So, yeah, that's happening.
Man, congratulations. That's the good job, baseball, getting it going finally. And looking forward to seeing your face in the stands, I guess.
Yeah, everybody should be looking for the Braves games, seeing if they can spot Thad in the stands. If you can spot Thad in the stands, tell you what, you spot Thad cardboard cutout in the stands. How about $500 free Better Beans sign for your building? So like a free tour stop sign, like a upgraded wood print. You find me in a Braves game, usually, any Braves game, you spot me in the stands, get a screenshot of it, free $500 sign.
First company to find you.
First two.
Done.
There's that. So there you go. That gives them something to challenge themselves on.
Great. Well, okay, let's talk about other challenges going on. So, got any feelings on the widening possibility of a gap in education with?
Oh, well, what are you trying to tee me up and get me fired up like I was last week? Yeah, I'm fired up. I mean, my county, and we go to private school, but my county, who I was very proud of last week, who were letting parents choose between face-to-face instruction or virtual school. They had surveyed the county. The majority of the people wanted to be face-to-face. All the science, all the math says that we should be absolutely instructing children face-to-face. And then all of a sudden, last minute, they came out 2 nights ago and said, no, we're just going to do virtual. My county made me, So the 3 largest counties in the state of Georgia now have decided they're going to be virtual. Now, here's the thing. Look, wealthy families, educated families, their kids are not going to fall behind. We can afford tutors. We can afford private schools. We can afford we have college educations that we can teach our kids. And when we say we have college educations, that would mean my wife. I don't have one, but my wife does. But we're certainly qualified to instruct our children on things. But the poor and the uneducated or the undereducated or the single parent homes, shoot, the gap's just going to get bigger. The poor get poorer. The rich get richer. Like, I don't understand the stupidity of what we're doing. The kids need to be in school. The bottom line. So, yeah, am I concerned? Yes. Now, am I just going to stand around and bitch and moan about it? No. My prayer this week, I made a Facebook post for those of you that are friends with me. Those of you that aren't friends with me, go ahead and friend request me on Facebook or Instagram. But I am going to do something. So, we're going to make sure that children get fed, that children get quality instruction or tutors, or that children get, get to be around positive influencers every day. That is happening. I am going to help facilitate that happening. And something will be ready before September. I have had countless amounts of emails and text support of what I'm saying that we should be doing. My focus is not going to be on my anger. My focus is going to be on making a positive difference through this time, regardless of the dumb decisions that people in government make.
Winners solve problems.
Well, are you calling me a winner?
No problem. Solving a problem.
Okay, you called me a winner. That's fine. You call me a winner. But this is a great time that you're asking me about that. I want to bring on our guest this week, Andy Sherrard, who is the CEO of O2B Kids. O to the number B Kids. They're based in Gainesville, Florida, and he's a pretty, I don't know what I should say about him. He is an impressive dude, and I don't really say that about very many people. Very, very, very smart, systems-driven, marketing-driven, a perfectionist, and I won't say he's cool, but he is a pretty good dude. Andy, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Fun to be here.
That was almost like a compliments there. Did you feel that? Were you feeling those?
I'm waiting for the second half.
Well, hey, listen,
Sure, it's coming.
O to B growing like crazy. Tell us real quick about your company, what you're doing, what's happening with O to B right now.
Everything's wonderful right now. Good time to be doing what we're doing. Super exciting, easy,
Easy.
living the life.
Are you now?
Yeah. Yeah, we are, I mean, very proud of our team, but I mean, we're facing the challenges like everybody else. We have 21 schools now. We actually just opened one a month or so ago.
21 schools.
We're in Florida and Georgia.
What type of capacity y'all at right now? 21 schools.
We're at, a high of, probably in the 75% range. And then, I mean, we're across the system where we're just shy of 70% of where we were kind of prior to this. So that's pretty good.
Okay.
So some are doing really well. Others are below. We've stayed open the entire time. So we've kind of weathered that storm. But a lot more cases are starting to come in, right now.
Yeah.
So it's interesting navigation, that's for sure.
A lot more tests. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's happening.
There are.
Lot of testing, a lot of positive cases. But anyway, so you are awesome. I said this in a second ago. You're awesome at branding. You're a great system builder. I would say you're relentless, and you're a great marketer. Knowing all of that, how do you reconcile in your head being a Gator fan? Like, to me, like, none of those really go together. So, like, how do you reconcile being like a fan of a garbage team and having all those other great qualities?
Yeah, some things you just can't, explain. It's just, you're just blessed, to be a Gator, and not everybody gets that opportunity. And I know that you didn't quite get there, and you tried, but it's just one of those fortunate things, and we are thankful that happened, but you can't explain it. Some people are just chosen, others aren't.
So can you just real quick off the top of your head, can you think of the last time that your Gator football team beat Georgia at anything? Can you think of the last time?
In anything?
In football, yeah.
Oh, in football. Yeah.
Anything football related. I mean, are you going to try to come with me with some secondary sport that doesn't matter? I mean, both you and I both know where the bread's buttered.
Yeah, no, it's you've had a 3-year streak on us. You had a 3-year streak, and then we had a 3-year streak before that.
No.
And you had a 3-year streak.
No.
And we had
No.
there's
No. Let's make sure we get this right. It wasn't a 3-year streak. Let's just look it up.
Look it up.
Yeah, let's look it up right now. You want to do some push-ups on that? You want to do a push-up bet real quick before I look it up?
$1. That's your $1.
$1. Okay. Let's go that.
How long have you been who are you a fan of? Which team was it?
Oh, come on, dude. Don't even start with me.
How long have you been a fan?
Of Georgia?
Yeah.
I mean, 1976.
How were the 90s and the 2000s? That was.
Are you really going to go back 30 years? Let's go. How were we back in the 90s? Well, how were y'all back in the 80s, big boy?
Okay.
I mean, that's
we're
silly.
even over the last 12 years. You know that. We're even.
Over the last 12. I mean, who picks random stuff like, okay, let's do a 12-year running average. I mean, who's doing a 12-year deal? Who does that? Let's look at this. Come on. We got to have this. I should be able to find this quicker.
Neil will find it.
I'll find it. You keep talking. I'll interject at some point.
Slow.
I don't think he can multitask.
You're out of your mind.
Neil has nothing to do right now. He really doesn't. I don't even know what he does. I've been out of town for a couple of days selling the business. I don't think he's done anything while I was gone.
He could have looked this up.
He could have had this done a long time ago. I know we met November 2nd of 2019, and we won 24-17. Sometime I got to tell you, Andy, about.
Did you go to that game? You got to go to the game.
Yeah. I mean, I go to as many as I can.
Well, I mean, Florida, Georgia.
What's that?
Florida, Georgia.
The Georgia-Florida game, we go all the time.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
Andy, you're saying it wrong, by the way.
Yeah, well, he knows. The Georgia-Florida game. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That's probably the only fair middle way to say it.
We can say it that way.
All right. So what do you think? I'm asking everybody between now and November. So I'm going to let you quickly. You know, you don't have to take a political stance, but I will ask you, what do you think is going to happen in the election in November?
When you say what's going to happen, you're saying
Who do you
who's
think's
going to
gonna
win,
win?
or
Yeah.
are we going to have one? When is it really going to be decided?
Is it? Well, it doesn't really have to be decided in November. We have till January.
Yeah.
But who do you think is going to win? I'm just putting everybody on record.
I think that I think Biden will win.
You think Biden, regardless of who he decides to pick as a VP, is going to win?
Yes.
Okay. I got Pete down for a Trump victory. Not that that's who he's rooting for. That's just who he's got, and not that that's who Andy's rooting for. But he's got Biden down for a victory. So we're 1-1 so far on political guess.
Did you commit last week?
No, it's not my time to commit.
Oh, you know, when do you do it? The week before?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait.
The day after.
Gather all the information first.
Got it. Did Neil commit?
No, but he's not a citizen. He can't commit.
Oh, that's right.
And again, the show is what Dad thinks, not Neil.
I forgot he was celebrating Canada Day before or something like that.
Oh yeah, he celebrates anything that's un-American. No, he celebrates all the American ones too, I believe. So, what do you think? What's happening in Gainesville? School's going to go virtual?
We are at the current moment. Gainesville schools are hybrid, so they're offering a virtual option or a go to brick and mortar option.
Yep.
And most of the districts that we're in are doing the same. Obviously, Atlanta is not, and Palm Beach is not. Palm Beach is virtual only. And
What's your opinion? What's your opinion on that?
I want kids to be in school. I want brick and mortar schools. I mean, I'm a big supporter of that. You know, the social side, the connection, you know, everything that you've mentioned. So I'm a huge fan of that. I also think that schools need to do one thing well. I think they're splitting between doing, you know, the virtual and the brick and mortar. I mean, it is a very difficult lift, and I think that a lot of schools are struggling figuring that out. So if they got to do one, I prefer they do one really well than two, you know, halfway. But I do think that, you know, I mean, obviously Florida right now is spiking big time on cases. And I think that there's more than just because we want kids in school, there's more to it. And we need to, the community needs to make sure that we're creating an environment that can make it successful from a health standpoint. So,
well,
yeah.
let me just I mean, since you're bringing it all up, and you know, this is like the third time you've said spiking cases, so I'm gonna put you on the fearful side. Even though you've been open the whole time, you've never closed your own business through this. Do you think any numbers support that students, children under the age of 18 are at any kind of major health risk if they do get COVID?
No, and I wouldn't put myself on the fear side at all. I think I'm trying to be on the reality.
Well, that's fine. Look, you don't need to defend yourself. Just answer the question. I mean, more emphatically answer the question.
I think research is clear that the younger folks are less at risk for serious illness, right? And I think that's a good thing. I think
That's a great thing.
If this was striking everybody, you know, I mean, in the severity of it, you know, equally across all age groups, I mean, I think we'd have a very different situation. So it's good that
Well, I don't think I'd be opening my business. Like, I mean, you've been a part of conversations with me since you know, early March. If any of the evidence had come out that children were at healthy people were at risk, I wouldn't be opening my business. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
And healthy people aren't, and children certainly aren't. So That's what continues to worry me. I agree with you though. I'm proud of your county for doing giving both options. I think that's the best way to do it, because I do think people have the right to keep their kids at home if they think that's safer for them. I think that's great. Do it. I actually know some friends. I talked to some teacher friends yesterday who their daughter has excelled with virtual learning, like just gone crazy with it herself. I told him my son is miserable at it. I mean, it's not for him. I mean, he's just like sitting in his chair on top of his head and, not paying attention and everything else. But he usually does great when he's in school. So I mean, honestly, looking at education for the next 50 years, I mean, virtual should be a piece of it anyway. I mean, our school this year, we're a private school. I mean, we were paying to do an extra class, an ethos class, which is a virtual class, so that my son in 8th grade is getting, more high school credits for taking Latin. He was going to be taking Latin, a high school level Latin class at night. What a great way to complement your education, right? To grab some more credits doing something else online, and something like a foreign language. You don't really need to be in class for a foreign language, right? I mean, it's just practicing and studying vocab. So anyways, I do think a mix of education, since you brought that up, be really good at one thing. I do think a good mix of education should be the future a little bit,
absolutely.
right?
And I think that, clearly, I mean, we've had, virtual school as an option in our county for quite a while. I mean, most places do.
Yep.
And I think that's essential, and not everybody learns the same. And so that's a healthy deal. But I think what's happening is school districts, across the country, even for the protection of finances, to keep kids within their system, they're creating, a virtual system themselves. So they're creating something they've never done before. At the same time, they're offering the traditional, school program. And I think that is problematic with the amount of time that they've got to pull it off. And the resources aren't there either. So,
Yep,
yeah,
that's right. So
is your private school going back, or is your private school going?
Yeah, we're back.
Virtual.
We're back. Yep. We've got they've got a pretty amazing plan. I think they've done a good job. I think they're a little nervous about it, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I emailed the president of the school Tuesday or Monday and just said, look, stay strong, guys. Stay strong. I'm not going to pay what we're paying to go to virtual school. I did that for the last 2 months of the year. You know what I mean? But there's no reason to pay what we're paying to not go to school. We'll move our kids somewhere that they're going to school.
I still don't think that I think things could still change between now and school starts, though. I mean,
yeah.
So who knows if what's going to really happen at this point.
Oh, yeah. It could absolutely change. I mean, there's a big push in all these counties to give out more free tests because they just want the numbers to keep going up. It's just funny how the deaths aren't going up. It's just cases. I mean, it's just fun. It's just the same part vulnerable folks. But hey, oh well. I mean, some people are bored of talking about that stuff. So community unrest, cancel culture, doxing. What do you think's happening to freedom of speech in this country right now, Andy?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a great question.
I did not prep Andy for the question, so his lack of smoothness is purely an age thing and a University of Florida thing. It has nothing to do with, I didn't prep him.
I mean, that's an awesome conversation because in some respects, you can say that it's, alive and well and thriving, and people are using their voices to express frustration, that they have with treatment or, situations that exist for generations. And that's a voice that has not been heard to the level that it is right now. And so from that standpoint, speech is thriving. I think my sense is what you're alluding to is potentially the question of, should there be monuments or things that have been, part of communities for a long, long time, names of schools. I mean, you've talked about your Better Beans starting to rebrand school names and mascots and things of that nature. And so are you taking away, names or historical landmarks that have existed? And is that stifling speech, I think is what you're alluding to. And I think that, just simply that there's a conversation, means speech is alive and well. At the end of the day, it's going to be each community that's going to get to decide that. And
well, you don't think, there are massive calls for boycotts, and there's massive calls to have people taken off the air right now. There are New York Times publishing where Tucker Carlson lives and stuff, so that, and 50 people outside of his front door, yelling down his family. For some reason, it just appears right now we have, and I can assure you, I'll speak for not only myself, but for countless people I've talked to. There's a lot of people afraid, especially small business owners right now, which is what this podcast is for, afraid to speak on how they really feel on an issue because they don't want to be canceled, right? They don't want to be boycotted. They don't want to get called out on social media. There was a time that we respected everybody's opinions. Now, I think we both know, Andy, a little bit. You lean a little bit to the left, on some issues for sure. I think, I lean a little bit to the right on some issues for sure. But I can confidently say that I love you as a person. I can confidently say I respect your opinions tremendously. And, even though you're wrong, I never think less of you,
I think one of the things that's interesting is, if you're suggesting that people that maybe felt comfortable communicating their views no longer feel comfortable and that their voice is stifled, I think you need to look at the other side of that same coin and recognize that there's been other people that have felt they have not been able to communicate, their voice, through the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Many folks have felt that they have not been able to stand up to authority, to government, to those in charge. And so now they're using their voice. So the idea to suggest that.
But that's not a voice. That's not a voice. Just using the voice, nobody has a problem with using your voice. On any level, I have no problem with you using your voice. I have a problem with you either intimidating, boycotting, shouting down, or, looking for retribution on some sort of level.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. I think the point is that there are folks that have felt that exact same situation in reverse, that they have not been able to speak.
So eye for an eye. That's what we're going for?
No, I think well, first of all, nobody's.
Just because someone else felt that way doesn't mean they should be making other people feel that way, right?
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Okay.
100%. But my point is
that's the argument you're saying. That's the point you keep saying.
But if somebody wants to express their views that may be not as popular today as they once were, they still have the right to do that. If you're suggesting there's consequences to that opinion today that didn't exist, 2 months ago, then that's part of that's a changing world, right? That's opinion. That's public opinion. And it does evolve. You don't have to change your point of view, but to be open to other people's point of view. And
people's businesses and lives shouldn't be at risk over it. There shouldn't be people people shouldn't have their businesses vandalized over their opinions on a subject. People shouldn't lose their jobs on opinions of a subject. So I completely disagree that you think that's okay, because I don't think that's okay at all.
Do you think that's what I said?
That's what I heard.
Right, that's what you heard, but that's not what I said. Vandalism of any kind is inappropriate, right?
Well, you just said their voices, that some people's voices haven't been heard, right? If their voices, which I agree with. There's some people's voices have not been heard for a number of years. I agree with that.
Mark that down, Neil. Okay.
But I do not agree that that people should be persecuted in any way just because another group was persecuted in the past.
I agree.
I disagree with that.
Well,
but that's what you kept bringing that up, though. You don't agree. You didn't agree with that a second ago, so I changed your mind.
No, if somebody's, nobody should be persecuted on either side. We shouldn't. But I think, as you stated before, everybody should be free to express their opinion.
Heck
We're
yeah.
not all going to agree. We're not. And at the end of the day, what we do recognize is that, if we're talking about business, hopefully, the merits of the product and the service that we provide will ultimately, determine if somebody, deserves to shop there. But what we know is not just over the last 2 months, but over the last several years, I think business, many folks from maybe individual leaders, kind of step out and express their opinions, but many times businesses have tried to stay neutral and not try to pick a side. And I think in a lot of, because of social media and the voice that a lot of people have, a lot of consumers are saying, I want to know where you stand. And I will, I'm going to make a consumer decision based on knowing where you stand. Now, a business can choose to say, I'm neutral and I'm not going to, go one way or the other. And then consumer says, I don't want you. Or they can say, I'm left or I'm right. And then you're probably going to get more from one group and less from another. But that's the reality of our world.
Well, that is the reality of our world, and it's not something that I appreciate or like, which is something I can certainly express that opinion as well.
And that is fine. But your freedom of speech still exists. It's still there.
No. If you're restricting freedom of speech, if people think there's consequences to their speech, which is the point you made just a few minutes ago, the same subject. If you think you're at risk for speaking out, that does not give you freedom of speech.
I think you use the word restriction. So the difference, I think, is there's a difference between.
No. If there is fear in people's minds, if there is a marginalized group of people that has genuine fear that they're going to lose their home, their business, lose things over their freedom of speech, over their just thoughts and opinions that could be changed, then that is something I do not want anybody in the United States of America to ever feel. I don't care if you are, if you think that, all dogs should die. I mean, if that's what you think, I think you should be free to speak that opinion without being at risk of losing your home, or people doxing you, or people publishing your name and stuff in public places, or encouraging people to come to my house and, throw things at it. I don't think that should ever happen to people in the United States. I don't think that should happen at all.
I agree.
So I'm glad you agree with me, and I've changed your mind today. And that was good. That was good. It was a good discussion. I'm glad I won there. Make sure you mute him, Neil, if he tries to talk in the next couple of minutes without a question being asked to him. Thank you for your honesty there. That was awesome. And I will say, on a whole, I think we have some good common ground, which is, I think, what you'll find with most people that you disagree with some things on, that you'll always find some good common ground. And if you act from a place of caring and listening and wanting to learn, then you're going to come out on a good side of things. And Andy just found out that when you listen and you learn to your opposing person, that you learn a lot. And so, Andy, congrats on learning so much right there.
Hey, Wizard, appreciate that.
Hey, we had some cool conversations. I don't know how long ago it was, Andy, on virtue signaling. I think it was during a webinar, and you and I were at the same place that I believe your company had decided to put out a statement on we were talking about putting out statements on Black Lives Matter, or diversity, or inclusion, and whatever. We wanted to, when all that when the George Floyd thing first went down, we saw a lot of companies looking to virtue signal and kind of profit from, a lot of celebrities coming out and saying who they were for, which just made no sense. You and I both talked about that we could tell people were virtue signaling, and some companies were looking to profit on it, right? Like every other commercial on TV was trying to profit off of either COVID or profit off of, George Floyd's death. And we had a good conversation. Like I voiced early on that I was, hey, look, I want to make sure all of my customers and employees understand our inclusion and diversity, and understand that yes, Black Lives Matter, and that there's racism has got to be snuffed out in this country, and that we have a wherever that exists, it needs to be gone, and that they feel loved and cared for in my company, and that was important. But that I didn't think that was. I felt dirty putting it like out on social media or emails, stuff like that. I just felt dirty because it looks like you're trying to profit off of a very serious, deep, dark subject. And then you felt differently. Not that you wanted to profit from it, but that you thought it was important to put it out. So talk to me a little bit about that, like how you feel about virtue signaling, and then talk to me a little bit about your company and what you did and why you felt it was important.
I think, even the way you describe it, I mean, clearly, what you see depends on where you sit, right? And, this virtue signaling is, the way you're saying that, it suggests negativity, I feel like, this, I guess you use the word profiteering. I don't see it that way at all. And I think, candidly, historically, we have been one of those companies that just kind of didn't jump into, the fray of politics. And, we were there about serving families, serving kids, every child from every place didn't matter. But we didn't really kind of go out there and take a, political stand. That wasn't our deal. I personally felt that, the kind of national conversation that we've had, stimulated by, George Floyd and the protest, it's just different this time. And that to let, our families and our staff know that we acknowledge that, racism is real, it is wrong, that Black lives do matter, it was important to say. And it has no aspect of, in my mind, I think arguably, those that are in favor, are going to say, of course, they're not going to see it as, it's just kind of a, it's gravity. I mean, it's real. And yes, of course, everybody matters. I think there's potentially an argument can be made that maybe you're going to offend more than you're going to support. But I think that it's just, especially being in the education field, I think we do agree that, the way to change, generational poverty, or the way to keep people out of the criminal justice system, the single best thing we can do is a high quality education. And we also know in the early childhood space that those first 5 years matter more than anything else. So I think there's even an additional burden or responsibility in our industry to say that everyone matters, everyone is equal, but we all have biases, and that's real. That unconscious bias that each one of us has is real, and we're going to have to be proactive to make sure that we, don't exercise that bias.
That's impossible. That's impossible.
It's absolutely impossible. I agree.
That's impossible. So your biases that are built in based on your experiences in life are just going to be there. And
that's why it's important to be honest.
Yeah. So I guess, and I guess this is, and I mean this from a place of respect, because you did it, I'm not, what you did may not have been, in fact, I will say this, I read your letter. I don't really think it was virtue signaling. Okay. I do think some people absolutely virtue signaled so that they can make themselves look good to the community. They didn't do it from a place of love and caring of children and really wanting to make an impact on things. Okay. So there is a difference. I think it's a hard difference to draw, but I do think, and I don't want to, we're not going to have the show where I just, maybe on the side, I will email you about 50 different instances where people are just virtue signaling and you can tell. Sure. And doing what you're doing where you're actually trying to, make real change. And I think everybody does that in their own way. Our way as companies were to meet with, meet with different groups of minorities in our companies and make sure they felt supported and make sure they felt like we were doing the right things and ask them if there were things that we should be doing and, and onward and upward. And that was our way. And, and some people's way was to make social media posts, And
I think, and for us, I think that way is way more important than making a statement. So for us, the statement is just one piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
And so just saying something and doing nothing after that is absolutely not enough. And, we are continuing the conversation. We're talking with our management team. We've had meetings, with some schools that wanted to have a dialogue. We need to do more. And, I don't have the roadmap and the specific plan, but we're going to listen and we're going to be open-minded. And, but I think it's something that before, I'm very proud of the diversity within our company. I think we do a good job of making people feel welcome, but it wasn't as proactive as it could be. And so I think that, we're going to be more committed to being, more conscious of the steps that we take and make sure that, everyone has an opportunity to excel. And this has to be an ongoing thing for a long period.
Absolutely. So, thanks for your candor on all that. And hopefully I taught you something again. So, what are our, I guess, let me try to get it as quick as I can. What are a small business owner's responsibilities to their community?
That's a fun one. I think, I think the very first thing is to just freaking be great at what you do. I mean, deliver a quality product. Don't open a mediocre restaurant. Don't come to work, not loving what you're doing. I mean, it's like, be great. Do the best. Doesn't mean you can't make mistakes. Doesn't mean you're a work in progress. But I think that, if you want to make the community better, offer the community something that they value. That a group of people really get jazzed up by. I think that's the key. And with that, create an environment for your staff that they have meaningful work. They look forward to coming. They build great relationships. They get a paycheck that supports their family. I think that, it's like, I think I've heard in your other podcasts, when you're talking about marketing, you talk about the four walls, and I think that, the idea of helping your community probably starts inside your four walls with your product and your people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so on a simplistic level, it begins there. And when you really think about the community, I think the next kind of level is being active, participate, head up, engage, if you can do business with other, local businesses, you do that. And, when you can celebrate the work that they do, you attempt to do it. I think for us, like our marketing has always been a very guerrilla style. We're at every kid carnival. And I mean, geez, the first 10 years, I mean, I did balloon animals at every carnival that
can you do balloon animals?
I can do balloon. Well, the key is once you learn the dog is the same as the cat, which is the same as the horse, which is the same as the giraffe. You just have to change the neck and the tail. And then it's all how you sell it to the kid.
Look, here's your elephant.
Oh yeah. As long as you can sell it, and then the snake, the snake's pretty easy.
Well, I can do the snake. I can do a balloon snake.
Well,
all right.
I don't know, ears, head. I don't know.
I don't think a snake has ears.
Well, my snakes do. You gotta make them.
Because it's a cat without legs.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. But I think part of that is just being out in the community it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's just participating in the festivals and the school carnivals and that's part of making. We've all been to special events with 10 booths or 30 booths, and when everybody's involved, it's more fun.
Most of the ones we come to, it's usually like 1,000 booths events. That's usually the ones that we go to.
Yeah, that's good. Excellent.
Well, you hit a good one. I want to hear your opinion on this. I've got 5 things I wanted to be able to give our guys. Like I usually like to give them one good list. I've got 5 things that they need to do in their community right now.
Cool.
To be an active participant.
And
this is good for all small business owners. And number 1 was exactly what you said. You need to be great at what you do. And it starts with your employees. So you have X number of employees at each of your buildings, right, that live in their communities. They need income they can count on. They need an employer that is sympathetic and can be there for them. They need friends and community. They need people that are there at their funerals and visiting their family members at hospitals. They need a sense of community where they work, And if you're not great at what you do and facilitating a fantastic work environment, you are crap for your community. So just like what you just said, Andy, it starts at what you do, but why does it? Maybe more than anything, be great at what you do for your employees and give them a great place. Now, for you, Andy, you have schools, so that passes on even more to its children and their parents, and all these external external customers. But number one, be great at what you do. Number two, in your community, so obvious, but a lot of people don't do it. But be active at your Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so the your Chamber of Commerce not only does a lot of great things for your business and is good for marketing, but the Chamber is almost always one of the most active people in charities in your county, in your city. Be active at your Chamber. Don't just join and pay $200. Be an ambassador. Go to business after hours. Join a networking group. Do something and get involved in their charities. You want to be great in your community? Be great at your Chamber. Number three, I say you need to contact your local churches and your local charities and find out what they need. Tell them what you do. Go down there, shake their hand, take them something. Let them know who you are. But these local nonprofits and local charitable organizations, do they really know you? Like, know you. So get down there and make sure they know you, because, man, when times get tough, the churches are full. When times are tough, the charities are full. And, I think Andy and I would both agree that we haven't seen the bottom of this economy yet, from the fallout on a lot of this COVID stuff. We're going to have some tough times. Make sure you're active at your churches. Make sure you're active at your local charities. Make sure they all know you, so that when the time is right and they need you for something, you're there. You want to be on top of their mind. So of the 5 things to do in your community, number 1 was to be great at what you do. Number 2 was be at your chamber. Number 3 was be active at your churches. Number 4, I think this is, you can always be a jack of all trades. Andy said it earlier about schools. I'll say it about your community. Pick one cause that is your company cause. If you want, if you really, you can do all kind of different things in your community, but if you want to be on charitable, pick one thing. Habitat for Humanity, childhood cancer, whatever it may be that everybody in your company can get behind it. And just pick one and have 1 or 2 or quarterly or monthly events that you do for them. Pay your people to volunteer for that organization. How many of y'all have it in your employee manual that you will pay people for community service? You don't have to do it for any community service, because you're gonna have some yahoos take advantage of you. But you can daggone pick. Say, listen, if y'all want to do the I can't remember the walk for breast cancer, the Relay for Life. You want to go do Relay for Life? Fine. You do 6 hours, I'm paying you for 6 hours. Take the day off. Go do Relay for Life. I'm paying you. That shows company support behind something that's real, right? So of the 5 things, the number 4 would be pick one cause. Number 5 is I got it both ways. I got it really as 2 things. I didn't really like the number 6, so I put these together. Number 1 is be real, and kind of the second part of number 5 is to love. Remember, look, just remember that you're a responsible member of that community. Be real in what you do. Don't virtue signal. Be real. Make sure it's you. Make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and make sure you're showing love to one another. That's how you end up really having an impact on the community. So those were my 5 that I had ready for today. So take those back, and make sure you're asking yourselves the right questions about being a responsible member of your community. And I guess I have a last question for Andy. What are your thoughts on Neil? Little known fact, guys. Little known fact.
Did you just call me fat?
Oh, your internet's terrible. A little known fact right now. A little known fact is that we did something like this, and Andy sent me a text. Andy needs to get some credit here, maybe an extra good present or a parting gift for today. But that he listened to a webinar or something, and he sent me a text and said, "Hey, man, you should do a podcast." And I said, "Ha ha ha," and then I was like, "Huh, maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea right now during this COVID downturn. We're not so busy. I could start one." And then he goes, "Yeah, you should name it What Thad Thinks." And he had two options. I need to look it up. He had two things that he suggested. One was What Thad Thinks. So anyways, I give him credit for naming What Thad Thinks. He had nothing to do with the Not Neil portion. That was a pure Better Beans edition as we were going for our logo. And I go, if we're going to use my bobblehead, we should get something and not put Neil's face in there. Don't put Neil's face. Neil doesn't have a bobblehead. He doesn't go, and we'll be a Not Neil. So, but that's how Andy gets some credit. But Andy, real quick, if I don't like your answer, I'm muting you real quick. But tell us your thoughts on Neil.
Well, I gotta tell you why I think that you would have been, the best podcast host, right? And it's like you're the triple threat podcast host, because there's three things that you say, that you talk about. First thing is you kind of affirm what people are already thinking, all right? So a lot of people, you speak with conviction, and people go, yeah, that's what I think. And so it kind of affirms them. They like hearing that, right?
Okay.
And every now and then, you find an acorn and you have this bit of insight or this great wisdom or motivation in people that's not what they thought. And they're like, wow, that's insightful. That's great. Or I'm going to, go run through the wall. I mean, you're that motivating guy. So those are two really good things, and you deliver those, right? Okay. But the third thing is that every now and then you say something completely outlandish or offensive or shocking, and everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. And that's like, people are waiting in one little rant of yours, you may knock out all three of those things at the same time. Yeah. And so, like, to your question about Neil, who I love, is like one of your early podcasts I was listening to. It was one of your at the end, and you did a rapid fire thing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all coming today too, by the way.
Like Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
That's right.
Okay, which but your very first one was Golden Rule. Okay, we should all abide by and follow the Golden Rule. Your very next.
I need you to mute him. I need you to mute Andy real quick, because I kind of feeling where this is going.
My mute button is not working.
The very next statement, you were given. You called Neil a schmuck or something for falling for your deceitful spelling contest. So you immediately are giving him grief right after you preach in the Golden Rule.
Well,
like 15 seconds of each other.
Yeah. So, listen, I need the Golden Rule. I need forgiveness too. Right? You understand? Like, I understand I'm not perfect.
Oh, so the Golden Rule is forgiveness.
No, I just know I need forgiveness.
Oh, okay. That's a different.
We're not practicing the Golden Rule from time to time.
Neil is wonderful because he allows you that vent. Because I mean, if you couldn't get your venom out on somebody, who knows what would happen. So
that's right.
I mean, he is the man.
You ever seen those people go postal?
That'll be Neil one day. Neil's going to be like 80 years old. We'll both be in the same retirement home. And one night I'm going to wake up. He's going to be beating me over the head with a cane. I'm just purely convinced of it.
I have to wait till I'm 80?
Oh, you son of a bitch. I'm so tired of your
crap. Language. G-rated segment.
Well, that's Yeah. All right. Well, I will, Andy, you've been awesome today. Neil, you've been mediocre as usual. It is kind of time for What Thad Thinks. I want to thank both of y'all for being here, and make sure to send Andy a great present, and I will talk to y'all later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. It is time for What Thad Thinks. We are, I think the last 2 weeks, there's been no rapid fire hurricanes. It's all been, long thought out things, but today we are dropping hurricanes. It's funny. I write my notes for this section, and Andy just brought it up. So the first one was, hey, you know what Thad thinks? Thad thinks just the same thing he did the very first time. We need to be thinking about the Golden Rule. Don't overcomplicate how you feel about other people. Love other people, as long as their name's not Neil. Hey, defund the police? Come on, man. Come on. Y'all got to be kidding me. We're going a little too far on some of these ideas, guys. No need to push envelopes past the point that we can be safe. Nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to raise a family without the police in their community. Hey, number 3, I want to show my diversity of thought that I can love people regardless of their political affiliation. The very best ice cream that's ever been made, Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia. Ben & Jerry's Cherry Garcia, the absolute best ice cream ever made from a very lefty company, and I love them. Number 4, hey, favorite new Netflix, All American. I don't know who's watching it, who's not. Kind of like a modern day Beverly Hills 90210 about football. It is getting a little too dramatic here in season 2, but hey, still a pretty good show. I'm able to watch most of it with my children, so not bad. Give it a shot. Hey, school should be open, period. All the facts say so. Doesn't matter where you are. You need to understand children need to be back in school. Hey, are you asking yourself how you can help? How can you help? How can you help the virtually educated areas in your market? Because I'm telling you, the wealthy, the well-educated families, those kids are not falling behind. We mentioned it. It's the poor. How can you do it? Do something. Do not wait for the perfect volunteer opportunity. Go do something. Go make the difference in one person's life. Go do one thing. One thing. Listen, I fly Delta. I drink Coke. I drink Coors Light. I drive a GMC pickup truck, and I love the Georgia Dogs and baseball. Oh, I also love red meat. I respect you and love you regardless. I don't, how you feel about me, not all that important, but I love you. I think you should love and respect everyone regardless. Don't worry about you shouldn't be worried. Nobody in this country in America should be worried about getting doxxed, canceled, intimidated, losing their business, or having stuff done. Hey, love one another. Hey, so listen, next week, I'm going to tease this. Next week is going to be a food edition. That's right, food edition. We're doing food in restaurants from McDonald's to Bones. Doesn't matter. We're going to be talking food. I'm fired up about it. A little bit lighter subject. Hopefully we're going to be talking about a little baseball too, and a little football. But we're definitely having our food edition next week. Tune in. We'll also have some great small business ideas. Remember, Better Beans Branding is your one-stop shop for branding, signage, remodels. Those of you that are invested in your business, those of you that want to grow, those of you that need to brand your small business to really separate yourselves from your competition, you should give us a call. info@betterbeansbranding.com. Or go to betterbeansbranding.com at our website. You can find some of our great work. Please join us next week. Please subscribe. Please rate us. Thank you so much for joining again this week, and thanks to Andy in your name. Adios.